Hello everyone, this is a question and I am back with another unhaul video. Last time I did one of these was I think back in June, and I'm going to kind of say the same stuff at the beginning that I said in that video, which are the reasons why I unhaul manga and why people should unhaul manga. So the most obvious reason and the easiest reason, or the easiest choice to make to get rid of some manga in your collection, is if you don't enjoy it. So that's the easiest reason. I get, there's volume ones that I'll read and I know I didn't like them. Not for me. I think they're bad. I'll go ahead and move on from those. Sometimes I'll get a series and I'll read through the first 3 or 4 volumes and I'm like, hey, I can tell this series is not for me. I don't like it. Those are the ones that are the easy choices to get rid of. And then the middle reason, which is, for me at least, pretty easy too, which is that I just think something is okay. There's a lot of manga, a lot of media in general. The average is kind of going to be the majority of what, anything is. So just like in manga, most manga is just average, just okay. And so there's a lot of series like that that I'll read. Perfectly fine. I didn't hate them. I didn't love them. But I know I'm not ever going to reread them again. And when you have a large manga collection like I do, you have to kind of know, hey, I need to get rid of some things to make space so I can bring in more manga that I'm more interested in, that I'm definitely going to reread. So those are kind of the two, easy answers of why I unhaul manga. The other one, which I did a pretty good sweep of my manga collection this time for this video. So there is quite a bit of manga in here that I've actually never read. I've been collecting manga, reading manga for 5+ years now, and there's definitely, as I've been reading manga and, kind of getting used to what my tastes are, there's a lot of manga that I bought early on that I can just tell nowadays that I'm not going to really enjoy it, or I have so many other series that I'm more interested in reading that it's going to be way down the line that I'm ever going to get to this manga. So there is a lot of manga like that that's going to be in this that I'm going to go ahead and move on from. If I had infinite room, I probably would hang on to some of these series, some of these volumes, because, someday I might get to them. But because I'm trying to keep my manga collection in this one room, I'm already over 3,000 volumes. I kind of don't want to have to start figuring out other solutions. I'd much rather get rid of stuff that I'm less keen on reading or collecting and be able to get series in here that actually I'm really excited about. So those are the main reasons why I'm unhauling manga. Those are pretty much the things that you're going to see in this video. And the only thing in here that I've already gotten rid of that I didn't from my last video to this video, I read through the first, I think, 10 volumes of Higurashi When They Cry. I had the whole series up to date of kind of the main series and then the little spin-offs that came after it. And it was one of those middle of the road, I didn't hate it. It was fine. It did get a little repetitive for me. There's a lot of kind of Groundhog Day stuff going on where you're repeating, volumes have the exact same stuff going on in them, just like slight variations in the storytelling. The artwork wasn't the best. I just didn't connect with it that much. Like I said, it was fine. I can see why some people enjoy it. It just wasn't for me. So pretty shortly after that last unhaul video, I'd already read through that, and I did already get rid of that. So, but everything else, other than some one-shots here or there that I sold off or traded, this is all stuff I've been holding for the last few months to put in this video. So let's get right into it. Okay, starting off, I have a series that I am unhauling only because I'm going to be getting the newer versions of this series. It is being re-released in omnibus format, which is quite a lot larger format size than these singles, and that is Ajin Demi-Human. So one of my big complaints about this series is just how small these volumes are. I really prefer the largest volumes possible, and the volumes that were originally released by Vertical are small, even compared to here's a standard Shonen Jump size series. And as you can see here, it's, quite a bit smaller even than those. Otherwise the same. All the other dimensions just not quite as tall as a standard Shonen Jump release. And I have seen the omnibus releases, and they're more kind of the same size, format size as like your Viz Sig, but in an omnibus form. So looking forward to getting this series just in a larger format. So I will be selling off all of my set of Ajin in these smaller vertical prints. So one thing I am going to miss, I do really like the covers of these spines, but I have tons of series with bright colorful spines, so I'm not too bothered by that. But yeah, just switching these out with the newer omnibus versions, and only because it's a larger format size. If it was omnibuses that were the same size, I would just go ahead and keep these. First off, we have a shorter series that is Disney Twisted Wonderland, the manga. I read through the first 4 volumes, which is the complete of like this first arc, this book of Heart's Labule, and it was fine. I'm a big Disney fan. This is tangentially Disney related. It's, you know, taking kind of the Alice in Wonderland story, but putting into like a Harry Potter-ish kind of world. And like I said, it was fine. I didn't hate it or anything, but I was pretty bored of it by the end. So I do have the first 4 volumes, and then I have the anthology volume, which that's the only one I did not read. And so I won't be getting any more of this. We have a volume 1, and this is one I just actually really didn't like. This one I had heard from a lot of people, you know, this is like a well-loved cat series, Nukazuke, a new series that's being released by One Piece Books, and I just really didn't care for this one. It didn't strike, you know, I read a lot of cat manga. With this being more cat-like characters, they more act like little kids instead of acting like cats. So for me, this was more of a person taking care of 2 little kids manga than cat related. So just didn't do anything for me. I was pretty bored of it. You know, I could tell within the first 10 pages that I wasn't going to enjoy this. So I won't be getting any more of this series. Okay, next up we have a volume 1, Kana of the Great Snow Sea. This one, perfectly fine. Didn't hate it, just kind of middle of the road. I gave it a shot. It kind of reminded me of Nausicaa or Miyazaki vibes from the cover, and it was perfectly fine. I don't see this, when I looked it up on Goodreads, this hasn't been getting, it's been getting pretty average to below average scores. So it looks like most people were in the same, had the same feelings I did. So I'm not going to get any more of this series. Next up, we're going to have one that probably a lot of people are going to be upset about, and that is Akira Toriyama's Manga Theater. This is a lot of one-shot short stories that came out in the time before in Toriyama's early works. I'm not the biggest Shonen Jump fan. If you've watched my channel, you know that. And I kind of just bought this one to kind of check some of his earlier works out. And the artwork in all of them is, his artwork from the start is really well done. I really like his art style. But this type of action-y, you know, action comedy type series just don't do it for me. So I had to read this in like 6 or 7 different sittings. Like I could really only read like 50 pages at a time, which is rare for me for a manga. It was really hard for me to get through. Just doesn't grab me. And obviously he mentions in here, like, he has no idea why people would even read these old ones, because he says he thinks they're rough and not the greatest. But it's definitely great that we got this release. It's a good historical artifact to have, like, to get Toriyama's Manga Theater in this nice hardcover. I just know I'm not ever going to reread this, and I wasn't really the biggest Toriyama fan to begin with, so I'd much rather pass this on to someone who's going to enjoy it. Next up, we have another creator's books that's probably going to upset some people, and that is Kenji Cuda. First off, we have here Captain Momo's Secret Base Volume 1. The more I've read works by this creator, amazing artist, but their storytelling, the stuff they like to draw, is just not, it's not my type of manga. And I know that's, this is definitely for someone, but not for me. The way that he is, it's a lot of surface level storytelling with a lot of just naked women just because the creator wants to draw a series just full of naked women for no reason that don't service the story, which fine, you know, people want his work, people like his work, it's just not my type of storytelling. I like, you know, if there's going to be nudity, if there's going to be that type of content, that I'd like for it to have some sort of relevance to the story. And in all of the series I've read of his that focus on that, there doesn't seem to be any reason for it. And this being a strong reason for that, probably his worst example of that. So I will not be continuing with this series. And then while I'm at it, I'm going to get rid of the other Kenji Cuda stuff that I had. We have the 4 volumes of Imanon. This one is probably the one of his works that I've enjoyed the most. I liked the first couple volumes of this, but again, there's hundreds of pages of just this lady wandering around naked for no reason. So here is that. And like I said, beautiful artwork, really nice releases by Dark Horse. So there is that. And then this next one is the only series of his that I'm getting rid of that I hadn't read, and that is Wandering Island. But I did flip through this and it looks to be fairly similar in content. So I'm getting rid of both volumes of this series. And that is all the Kenji Cuda I have. Next up, we have a shorter 3 omnibus series, and that is King in Limbo. I read all 3 volumes of this series. I went into this one pretty blind, just knowing it was a science fiction thriller, kind of relevant to what happened with the pandemic, kind of similar vibes to that. And this was one that perfectly fine. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads, all 3 of these omnibus volumes. It just didn't grab me. None of the characters really grabbed me or connected with me. Wasn't the biggest fan of the artwork. So this one I will be moving on from. This one, I know a bunch of people that really love this one. And like I said, didn't hate it, just didn't grab me. Okay, next up we have another series that I read through that I will be unhauling, and that is Arakawa Under the Bridge. I read through all 8 of these omnibuses, and I did actually really enjoy the first one of these. Comedy and manga is, like comedy and everything, is very subjective, but manga I kind of think especially. And the first volume, I kind of got the same vibes of Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto, a series that I did enjoy. And so the kind of bizarre humor that's in this series, I kind of enjoyed this first volume, but as the omnibuses went along, it kind of lost its way. It started getting a little bit more plot heavy, and I kind of lost interest as I was going. Once I got to about the 3rd omnibus, I'd kind of lost interest in this series, and I was kind of just reading the rest of it just to finish, even though I was less connected to what was going on. Does have some very bizarre characters in it, and this creator, Hikaru Nakamura, I did try their series, is it Black Knight Parade, I think is their Christmas related series. I did read the first volume of that, and that one I could tell, I think I mentioned when I read that earlier this year, maybe late last year, that I could tell within like 2 pages that type of humor wasn't for me. So this I didn't realize was another work by that creator. And this one, kind of similar vibes, just her level of comedy, her type of comedy is just not, it's just not been grabbing me like it has some people. So getting rid of all these omnibuses I think are like 2-in-1s, other than the final volume here, which I think is just a single volume. And following along with that same creator, after I didn't really care for Arakawa Under the Bridge that much, I still had one more series by this creator in my collection, and it is a series that I picked up probably half of these from used places, half of these from like half-price book sales, and that is Saint Young Men. So I went in reading to read this first volume, and I made it about halfway through, and it was giving me, similar vibes to the other series. Just not really for me. Just the comedy was not connecting with me. So I'm going to be selling off all of this set too. I had 1 through 10, it looks like. So 1 through 10 of Saint Young Men, and like I said, I got probably half of these from used places, and then the other half from like Barnes & Noble half-price books, half-price hardcover sales. And these are really nice releases from Kodansha. But yeah, 1 through 10, I'll be unhauling that set. Okay, next up we have a series, a well-loved series by a creator who I also didn't care for their other series. So I had heard that this, you know, hey, if you didn't like the other series, this one is quite a bit different. But at least for me, there are very similar themes in this creator's work that just not my type of manga. So that other series was ZOM 100. I read through the first 3 volumes of that series. Did not care for it. And the next series that I gave a shot to was Allison Borderland. I read through the first 3 omnibuses of this series. And again, just this creator is just not for me. The art style I'm not a big fan of. Didn't like any of these characters. I read some reviews on Goodreads that kind of mirrored my thoughts on it in a more mean way that I'm not going to post in this video because I don't want to get a lot of negative comments, but definitely was the same vibe that I got from this creator's works. So I'll be moving on from this, which is unfortunate. Really nice looking releases from Viz. I really like these omnibuses. The style of them really look nice. And again, I wish I enjoyed this series more. I know a lot of people who love this series. Just was not for me. And so I will be moving on from this one. So here we have 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9. So that is all of Allison Borderland. Next up, I have 2 volumes that I am only getting rid of because they are duplicates. First off, we have The Guy She Was Interested In Wasn't a Guy at All, Volume 1. I had forgotten that I had pre-ordered this from Barnes & Noble, and I also got the Kinokuniya exclusive or variant cover. So I went ahead and kept that one. I really love this volume 1. If the spine was different, or if it was different than just a different artwork on the cover, I probably would have held on to both of them. But other than a different picture on the cover, which is only slightly different, I don't need to have this in my collection. So I'm going to be passing this one along. And then another duplicate here, we have Wonder House of Horrors. I had accidentally ordered 2 copies of this directly from Starfruit Books. I noticed and canceled one of them, or thought I had canceled one, and then they ended up shipping me this one in another order, even though I already got my original copy, you know, 6, 8 months ago, whenever this came out. So I now have an extra copy of this to trade off or sell. Okay, and this next section is all the stuff that I blind bought. I haven't read at all. I just kind of got the feeling that I'm not going to be wanting to read this either at all anymore. I kind of lost interest in the series, or it's something that I know is not going to be something I want to read anytime soon. So I'd much rather have the shelf space to get things that I actually want to read, want to own. And yeah, so, you know, these are ones I'm trying to do less of this, buying series like this, where I don't think I'm going to be that interested in them, you know, and actually read through some volumes before I keep collecting more of them. And so first off, we have Moriarty the Patriot. This is a Shonen Jump title that this was one of the earlier series that I started collecting, and I kept waiting for it to wrap up, and it is still ongoing. So it's something that maybe someday I'll go back to reading once it's completed, but at least for now, I don't really need to keep buying more of this series. So I had volumes 1 through 12. Next up, we have an out-of-print series that I have some random volumes of that I found at used bookstores, or, you know, I found at online places. If this series was easier to collect, I definitely would have collected all of it and probably read it. But I don't think there's going to be any chance of me getting the rest of these volumes. I'd much rather, if I need to get it, wait for it to eventually maybe get re-released, or just read it online. And that is I Am a Hero. So I have some random volumes of this, and this is Omnibus 1. I have Omnibus 3, Omnibus 4, and Omnibus 8. I don't remember how many omnibuses there are in this series, maybe like 10 or 12, but I only have 4 of them and they're all going for quite a bit of money. And the Dark Horse has said they're not going to be reprinting this, so I don't really want to have these. It's not a series that I'm that interested in where I'm going to be paying $50+ for the remaining volumes, so I'll go ahead and pass that on to someone who can use those. Okay, next up we've got some action titles. The more I get into manga and the more kind of seeing what types of series that I enjoy and don't enjoy, I've found like kind of the standard just generic action series are not for me. And so I have a lot of series here that I just picked up used volumes randomly. So here, first off, I got 4 volumes of Rosehip Rose. So I have the 4 volumes of this series. This is in out of print Tokyo Pop series. I think this is by the same creator of GTO. So I have those 4 volumes, which I have not read. And then I have volume 4 of Rosehip Zero, which I think is either the first series, like one of these is a prequel series, one of these is the follow-up. But yeah, so I have 5 total volumes. There is, I think both of these are 4-volume series. I picked these up used. I just kind of could tell that this was not going to be a series for me. I don't really need to hold on to these. Next up, we have some volumes by a creator that I am a big fan of, Rumiko Takahashi, but this is one of the action series that just really I really don't have any interest in reading, and I haven't heard good enough stuff about it where it made me want to read it, especially when there's other Takahashi series that I'm way more interested in checking out that I have not read yet, and that is Mao. And so I picked up some of these volumes at used stores. So I had volumes 1 through 4, and then volume 6 of this series. Another kind of classic action series that I picked up some volumes of. I did plan on reading these. Obviously, why else would I have bought them? But they just kind of, I don't really feel like collecting the rest of them, and it doesn't seem like a series I'm going to enjoy. So I'm going to just move on from them, and that is Spriggan in these deluxe editions. I have volume 1 and volume 2. I think there's 4 total of these deluxe editions. And these are really nice big releases from 7 Seas, but I have flipped through them and it looks like just a lot of well done action scenes, but just not the type of manga that I'm really interested in. Okay, next up we have 2 series. These ones I just kind of bought because I saw another manga tuber recommend them, and then a few months later, both of these series, I think both of the manga tubers that I saw recommend these had already dropped these series even after they had recommended them. So, and they're both long ongoing series, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on from them. So first off, we have Welcome to Demon School, Aruma-kun. This one, I was going to give the first volume a shot, but this is a long-running series and doesn't quite seem up my alley. So I have the first 3 volumes of this series I'm going to be unhauling. Next up, we have another long-running series that is still going, and that is Peach Boy Riverside. I originally bought this one because I heard good things from a manga tuber, and as this series has gone along, like, I have not really seen anybody talk about this series or seen that positive of a reception to it, where I think that I need to read it. So I'm going to be moving on from this. And this one I actually have been buying quite a lot of volumes of. So I have all the way up through, I think, 12. So I got 2 through 7. And then, yes, up through 12. And then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So getting rid of 12 volumes of that series. Okay, so next up we have a huge stack of Disney manga that I'm going to be unhauling. I'm a big Disney fan. I love Disney, I love Disneyland. Mentioned that multiple times. But most of these, I read through almost all of them over the last month or 2. And most of these just aren't very good, especially the movie adaptation ones. They're just like very basic Cliff Note versions of the movie, just not very well done. Like, you know, very just... It makes great movies very uninteresting the way that these are written. So most of these ones, like this one here, WALL-E, this one here that is Toy Story, and Toy Story 2. So most of these ones that are just straight up adaptations of movies, it's not doing anything different other than being done in manga format. Some of the artwork better than others. We have Tangled. And then we do have some of them that are telling different stories. So like we have here Stitch, the manga collection. This is telling different stories than the Lilo and Stitch movie. But here we got some more adaptations. Princess and the Frog, Monsters Inc. This one here especially, the artwork in this one is not very good at all. Here we have another one that's kind of a unique one. This is one of the better ones I read, and that is Miria and Marie. Another one that is at least tries something different, very weird. We have Donald Duck Visits Japan. We have another Stitch one, Stitch Best Friends Forever. This one is definitely way more for, I would say, small children, all ages Stitch stories. We've got another one that probably one of the better ones that I rated was Magical Dance, kind of just princess stories told where they're interacting with different Disney characters. And that's the same kind of format of Kalala Princess. So we have both collections here. These are the newer versions, which are all-in-ones of this series. Okay, next we have Frozen 2, the manga. This is by Arina Tanimura. And this is one of the rare ones in here that is actually released by Viz. This is another straight up adaptation of Frozen 2. The artwork is really good in this one. Really nice cover here. This is another one that's just a straight up adaptation of Frozen 2. My negative of this one is I've seen Frozen 2. I enjoy Frozen 2. This book should not be read by anyone who hasn't already seen Frozen 2, because the Cliff Note version that this manga provides does not really tell a coherent story unless you've actually seen that. And then continuing on, we have Finding Nemo in this hardcover. We've got another adaptation, and this is Alice in Wonderland. This is an adaptation of the Tim Burton movie, and this is actually kind of interesting because it's by Jun Abe, who is the same creator of Portis, a horror series. This one has really interesting artwork. I did really like the artwork in this one, and as you can see here, but again, it's just a straight up adaptation of that first Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland movie. And then next we have Cruella, Black, White, and Red. And this one, so I haven't seen Cruella yet, so I don't know. But from what I read, this is not like an adaptation of that movie. This is like either a prequel or a sequel to that Cruella movie with Emma Stone. And that was it. So the one Disney one that I am going to be holding on to, and that is the Stitch and the Samurai. That I got the hardcover set of the 3 volumes of that. And that is one that I actually really enjoyed on a not just, hey, I'm a big Disney fan, so I recognize these characters. That is one that is just a flat out really good samurai book. So definitely check out Stitch and the Samurai if you're looking for a Disney series, and you are. It does help if you're a fan of the Stitch character. And then the last thing here, we have a box set. This is actually the series that I'm currently reading. I'm up to volume 5, and this is another one that I don't know if I'm going to continue. I might, I'm definitely going to read a few more volumes. I did think the first volume was a good premise. As it's going, I can kind of see what type of story this is going to be. And like a lot of Shonen Jump stuff, just not really a series that I ever think I would reread or that I'm that interested in. Kind of just more of a, more of a younger reading level, I would say this series is probably for. And so 99% sure I'm going to be unhauling this. I will definitely at least read a few more volumes. But I figured instead of holding on to this till a next unhaul video, I'm going to go ahead and put it here at the end. Okay, so that was it. That was all the books I'm going to be unhauling. If you have any thoughts, any comments, please let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. That definitely helps. I enjoy making these types of videos. I mainly do haul videos, but doing unhaul videos, I enjoy making those also. And coming up here in the next few weeks, since it's the end of the year, I'll definitely be doing probably the first week of January, I think, I'll probably be doing a video of what my 20 favorite reads of the year were for 2024. And then I might be doing a goals video for 2025, just like I did last year. So I'll probably have a couple more videos, more than normal, coming up here at the end of December, beginning of January. So I look forward to those. And again, thank you for watching my channel. If you enjoy this type of content, like I said, let me know in the comments. And everybody have a great holidays and a great month of December. Thanks.